Hey, Rafael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Yvonne. How about you? How's it going over there?
I am doing really good. So we've got some news to share, don't we?
We do. Really exciting news.
So we are launching, Rafael and I are launching a podcast, and it's called Deconstructing Comp. So, Rafael, you want to tell our listeners why we decided to do this and what we're up to?
2020 has been a challenging year for all of us. And I think anybody who's been in our industry for a long time and who every single day is met with these ongoing challenges and these changes, um, you know, you want to be able to do exactly what we're about to do, which is break them down, deconstruct it, maybe think about it from its original version so that we can learn from and maybe even improve the process and the system. So for me, and I love doing this with you, Yvonne, it's about sort of learning comp all over again, taking all of its components, simplifying them, and then really sort of shake them upside down, inside out, and let's look at why are we doing the things that we're doing today, especially considering all of the challenges that we're going through. How about for you?
Well, so for me, I mean, I think you're right. This has been an interesting year. But over the last several years, I would say that you and I have gravitated closer together. We find ourselves talking a lot, either after a conference or a local event, and we end up talking about the kinds of things that we're going to be talking about. And I ask you a lot of questions, and you're always saying, okay, well, this is how it goes. This is, the legal side of this situation is this, and you sort of break it down for me in a way that I can understand better. And I've been in this industry for a really long time. And so I'm asked quite frequently, what's the best resource for people to get up to speed on what's happening in workers' compensation? And we all go through our little laundry list of, well, there's this website and that website. You can get a little piece here, a little piece there, but there's really not a single source for really getting just a real world broken down, nuts and bolts description of the way things work. And so I think that's what you and I sort of arrived at, because I'm always asking you a million questions and you're telling me, lots of details for me to absorb. And that's kind of what I think brought us here today, is that we feel that there's a need for that.
I love that because at the heart of it, I think you're right, Yvonne. We want to be educational. We want to put our brains together, the years of experience that we've got in this industry, and we want to share that. We want to share that with our peers today, and maybe even more significantly with the next generation that's coming right behind us that needs these things that we have learned over the years.
Right. And that's something we talk about, you and I, a lot, is the younger generation, the younger professionals, not only getting them interested in our industry, but keeping them interested. And, that level of mentorship that we feel is really going to be necessary to make that happen. So, Rafael, another thing that happens a lot when you and I talk is you commonly tell me, like, with that finger wagging, it can't work that way, Yvonne. That's not the way the industry flows. That's not the way it goes. So that's sort of going to be the flavor, if you will, of our podcast, right? You're going to be the prim and proper. This is the way legally things are supposed to work. Not that we're trying to, move outside the lines of the law or anything like that. But again, for those of us that are not lawyers, like myself, and I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of the broad spectrum of workers' compensation. I feel like I've always been fortunate to be around really smart people in the industry, and I've learned a lot from those people. But what really fascinates me about the industry is it's really complicated. There's a lot to the workers' compensation industry, and it's not for the faint-hearted. Would you agree?
I would totally agree with that. Absolutely right.
So if you're going to have a career in this industry, you need to have a solid understanding of how it works and all the different nuances that make up the industry as it is. So that's part of what we're going to sort of deconstruct, is how does one come by all of this knowledge, and especially if you're a young professional, Where do you go to get that type of information? So I think that's one thing I'm going to really enjoy tackling in terms of the issues we talk about.
Me too, Yvonne. I mean, I've been blessed. I've represented injured workers. I've represented employers and carriers. I've been in-house counsel for insurance companies. I've even been a vendor, a large vendor at that, in multiple spaces in the medical treatment of injured individuals. So I've been able to see this process and this system in a lot of different ways, different angles. And so I'm looking forward to sharing that experience, to sharing all of those different components of the equation, if you will, with you and our listeners, to be able to give, that diverse view of workers' compensation. Because, I mean, I've often said it when I speak publicly about it, there is no law out there that takes all components of our society and our economy and squeezes them down into one, and that's our workers' compensation system. When you think about labor and employees, and the animosity that that can bring, right? When you think about medical, all aspects of the medical world, and you talk about insurance industry from the payer perspective, the politics that's involved and engaged in all of those angles, all of it exists in one little microscopic world of workers' compensation. So I think you're right. And hopefully, you and I will deconstruct it one layer at a time.
That's our plan. So I look forward to chatting with you over the next weeks and months and tackling our industry and deconstructing it one issue at a time.
Looking forward to it.